Just tell them I'm free. 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 Everyone I see. Free. Bye bye. To the one back there while I am free. Yeah. Free. I'm telling everyone I see. Yes, free. Everyone I see. To the one the sun is making me. Yeah. Yeah. Free. Free. Yes. Free. Bye bye. To the one back there I used to be.
Middle Georgia. Will you help the WDDO 980 AM family welcome to our Glory Weekly lineup, All of a Sudden, with Brenda Sutton as host. Join All of a Sudden every Monday from 5:30 until 6:30 and tune in and be inspired on 980 AM WDDO. All of a Sudden, 980 WDDO. Get your morning started with Moments. Moments with Eloise Jefferson Hall. Every morning at 7:05 AM right here on 980 AM WDDO. The Glory.
The Glory Media Group is doing it again. WDDO 107.9 FM on your dial, 980 AM. Yes, it's a Cherokee Casino getaway. One-day getaway December the 16th. Come and join us as we travel to Cherokee. It's a one-day getaway. It's big. It's large. Let's load the buses and let's go. Call today, 478-227-4050. That's 478-227-4050. Leave your name and simply say, let's go, so we can count you in. Come get away. Cherokee Casino Getaway, December 16th, right here. 107.9 FM on your dial, WDDO.
A lot of things have changed over the past 50 years. A lot of things have changed over the past few months. We haven't changed. We're still here for you. Dozier Law Firm. Call us. We might be able to help you.
Glover Memorial Mortuary, located at 3241 Houston Avenue in South Macon, serving you and those you love with a personal touch is their motto for service. Sympathy, understanding, compassion, patience, and discounts available to lighten your financial burden. Dr. Walter Glover and staff are here to serve you and your family with a personal touch. They specialize in pre-need arrangements and cremation services with discounts given to every family with or without adequate insurance. Glover Memorial Mortuary, serving Macon and Middle Georgia since 1993.
Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB,
Macon and WDDO 980 AM,
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is.
Good evening and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie DUMAS, your host. Certainly happy you were able to join us today. Just a little technical difficulty there at the beginning, but hope you can hear us loud and clear. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope you had a chance to eat some turkey, some ham, and all the good fixings that go along with that. I know it's been a busy time in our community, a lot of things happening. We do know that we lost Rosalind Carter, which they'll be having a service for her tomorrow in Atlanta, Georgia. Motorcade did get a chance to come through Macon so today, and so we keep that family in our prayers. Certainly, this time of the year, a lot of losses take place. Matter of fact, we just had a major crash here on I-75 where about 3 vehicles were involved, and understand that one of the vehicles caught on fire, and so there was a loss of life in that particular crash. And so our prayers go out to that family, whoever they may be. Um, Got to slow it down. A lot of travel out there, a lot of people
Yes,
traveling,
it
and
is. I'm
we
sure.
have to slow down. Good evening, President Westbrooks.
Good evening, everyone. Happy
Glad to
holidays.
happy holidays.
I know everybody is full of
Turkey
turkey
and
and
ham
dressing.
and dressing and all the fixings.
Yes, so yeah, it was a. I basically cooked all day. So
Well, I figured you'd probably be doing a lot of that. I did a minimal amount of that this time around. I was visiting in Florida. Got a chance to go
yeah, I
to the
remember you told me that you were going to be
going out of
going
town.
out of town and kind of normally Thanksgiving. I'm actually cooking a lot because I normally I've been doing it for years.
Absolutely.
Do it for cook because there's a lot of people that are sick and shutting in, and
That's it.
I'll do that. And for whatever other reason, sometimes people, sometimes people just don't have or not able to make ends meet or whatever. So um,
That's a
God has
good
blessed
gesture.
me to where I'm able to help. At least my mother was like that. If I can't do anything else, I can feed you.
There you go. And
So
you
make
know,
sure.
we don't have to wait to Thanksgiving to get some good eating.
No,
Yes.
no, sure don't. So that's what I kind of did Thanksgiving. Cooked just about all day and kind of rested up a little bit, getting a little rest.
Well,
But
good,
uh, but
good.
we just want to ask everybody to be safe and uh, during the holidays. Oh, I want to make an announcement because we don't have long today. There's going to be a town hall meeting at 6 o'clock at the Elaine Lucas Senior Center. Um, there's going to be conversation about redistricting with Representative James Beverly, who's going to be the host, and Senator David Lucas will be there. So, if you're available, please stop by and get some information. There's some good information about the redistricting. I don't know if the community is aware, and people, we got to take voting serious.
Absolutely.
It's we're still, everything that's going on, we're still walking around here talking about we don't know who we're going to vote for, but your vote don't count. And this nonsense is just it gets tired. And people have a right to their opinion, or they have a right not to vote. But when you don't vote, then you don't have room uh,
Actually,
to make
complain
any
about
type
it.
of complaints
Right.
or anything. And so you can't tell people that they got to vote, which I try to encourage people to vote, but you can still have people out there who refuse to believe that the vote count. And so I try to give people examples of try to make them understand, if your vote didn't count, um, a lot of the things that are being taken place now would not be taking place if your
No.
vote didn't count. So we're going to look, for example, federal court in Atlanta news. A federal court today ruled. Well, it didn't happen today, but this was on October 26th. A federal court ruled that Georgia state legislature district maps discriminated against black voters and must be redrawn. The decision followed an 8-day trial in September in Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity and versus Raffenberg, a lawsuit brought by the American Civil Liberties Union (ACLU) of Georgia and Wilmer Hale on behalf of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity Incorporation, the 6th district of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and several individual Georgia voters. And so the group was able to successfully argue that the maps deny black Georgians an equal opportunity to participate in the political process and elect candidates of their choice. It is a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Now, the new district maps are drawn as part of a one-in-a-decade redistricting progress triggered by um, the Seminole census. They determined that the allocation of political power, representation, and access to resources at every level of government for the next 10 years. And it says the 2020 census showed tremendous growth in the state's black population over the last decade. However, lawmakers enacted legislation maps which district lines that deny the state undeniable demographic shift, diluting black Georgian voting strength, especially in metro Atlanta, where the black population has increased by hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
So the court ruled that the state's failure to draw two new black opportunity districts in the state Senate and 5 new black opportunity districts in the state House violated the Voting Rights Act and ordered the Georgia Assembly to draw new maps no later than December the 8th. And it said that in its ruling, the court held that while Georgians have made progress since 1965, the evidence before this court shows that Georgia has not reached a point where the political process has equal openness and equal opportunity for everyone. It says the court's order, therefore, was issued to ensure that Georgia continues to move toward equal openness and equal opportunity for everyone to participate in the electoral system. So,
So that's showing the importance of the census as well
right,
as
because but a lot of time people still don't participate in the census because they have these, you know, thoughts of you if you participate in the census, something is behind it. But this is participating in the census, it could help your state or your
Abs-
county because there's federal money out there for your schools and different things like that. That's why it's so important that we participate, that everybody participates in
right.
the census. And so, um, and I was heartbroken when they went back and they um, gutted the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And they just gutted Section 5 of it, and it left Section 2. And what Section 2 does is gives us opportunity to be able to file a lawsuit. Well, for some reason they felt that because more black people were voting,
They
then we
wouldn't-
didn't need the protection.
Right.
But that was not the case at all.
Right.
And so Georgia was one of the states that was part of the Voting Rights Act under the protection. Because when the Voting Rights Act was passed, that we were southern states. A lot of the southern states needed the protection because they had us kind of jelly beans in a jar to see if we were able to vote, or different strategies that they used to deter us and keep us from
Right.
voting. So these are the type of things that the maps are drawn to. And that's why, like I said, we're encouraging people to go to the meeting at 6 o'clock. I went to the first meeting that they had. I think it was last month. That they had, and it's going to be at the Elaine Lucas Senior Center at 6 o'clock. But that's why it's so important because when I started researching history and looking at history, I sometimes I be up all night reading because, like I said, education is power.
It is.
And
It's
so
the unknown.
it's so we were having to go in every 20 years and renew our voting rights to show that we still needed to be able to vote. And that's why they look at it if it's there were numbers being. I can remember some years back when they were trying to put the voting precinct at one of the police stations. And here's Maria Bryant said, "Good afternoon,
Good
freedom fighters." Hello,
afternoon,
Maria. At a police precinct. So what we did was we were like, no, because what happens is,
Intimidation.
and yeah, intimidation. Black people are not going to go to the police
Police.
precinct and vote, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. They may be on probation. People don't think like that. Even though you're on probation, if you're on probation and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you don't
You don't
have
have
anything
anything to
but it
worry
just
about.
was the intimidation part.
Right.
So we fought that because we already knew that in the South Macon area, they would say, they would need to move the precinct because people were not voting. But that was not it. We was able to prove that people voted. There was a
Right.
lower voter turnout in the local election.
Right.
But when it came to when it's with the local and state election there's a lower voter turnout in that area. But when it comes to the presidential election,
The numbers
the
increase.
numbers people actually got out and vote. So got out and voted. So um, we had to get a percentage of the registered voters in that district. And I'm telling you, I turned another shade. Uh, I turned another shade that those couple weeks because I'm telling you, we walked the entire precinct. We were down Second Street. We were all over the precinct, and we had some Mercer students came in and walked with us. But we were able to get the signatures from the voters to keep that district from being moved. They actually removed it from Memorial Gym, but they were trying to put it at a police precinct, and we wouldn't having that.
No.
And so, they were saying, well, people would be protected, and they was looking at that, but they weren't looking at the fact that black people already didn't have a good relationship
So
with
with
law
the policemen,
enforcement during
yeah.
that time. And so they were not going to go to a police precinct and vote. And so we were able to stop that. A lot of people was upset. Some people were upset about it, but I'm just sorry. We were thinking about the people in that community, but um, you know, voting is so powerful, and people, it's a Mr. Dooms, it's a tool that we have, and we don't take advantage of it.
Right. And sometimes, particularly when we look back at census and we look at the number of individuals that represent, a particular population, the numbers don't lie. And if the people would just take advantage of those numbers, in many cases, elections would turn out much differently than they do.
Yeah, and then you look at it in the Atlanta area. Fulton County is one of them.
Right.
Those areas, there's a higher, there's a population, and so what they go in and do is, they gerrymander. It's called gerrymander. And they go in and they redraw the map so all the black voters won't be in that particular
Particular area.
precinct,
Right.
so they
Spread
can
them out.
split the vote. And see, if people don't realize, and I really feel that this community owes Desmond Brown an apology, because this is one of the things that Desmond Brown um, was talking about, and people they knew that he knew what he knew, and then they came after him. And so I'm not talking about I'm talking about what I know. I have a
Exactly.
copy of the emails I actually requested. Um, During that time, I did an open record request and requested information from the water authority's attorneys. And basically it started from an email where they were having private meetings.
The chair wasn't.
And the chair
Was
wasn't
it
even
in the
wasn't even
meeting?
aware of the meeting, what
Right.
took place in the meeting. So there was a email, the maps had been withdrawn, maps had actually been um, uh, sent up to Atlanta for them to look at the maps, and everybody on the water authority had not even been involved in
In that
participated in
process.
that process.
Right.
And so when he questioned it, uh, and there were several maps drawn by people on the water authority on the board, then they went after uh, uh,
Brown.
Commissioner Brown.
Right.
And so um, they made it about this thing, something else about him being involved uh, with the um oath of with him being involved in something with a job that he actually does, and he had a contract with this person anyway. He had a contract with her,
Right.
but they made it about that. Did an investigation, had him. They even went to the fact that had him arrested to embarrass him, and which had nothing to do with this case where he was arrested. Had nothing to do with the water authority, but it was just basically to embarrass him. So that's when the NAACP, we stepped in and said, look, this case is being owned locked down for 2, 3
3
years.
years.
So why all of a sudden now you're saying that he's in contempt because he didn't answer something? We're requesting that he be released
Absolutely.
because we could the only thing that was being done was to keep him did this to keep him from concussion. And this is the very thing that he was talking about. Even voters was taken from his district
Right.
and
He was
put
affected.
that voters was taken from his district and moved in another district. People that would have voted for him and he probably would have won, but they were taken from his
Out of
district
his
and
district.
given to somebody else. And so even though he still did win, but the fact is that you took voters from him that would have voted for him and gave them to somebody else to
And they
keep them in their district
right.
because they were out of their district.
And they had the same issue in Alabama, the same type of gerrymandering practices. And I think that particular case shedded a lot of light also on what was happening here locally.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that the judges uh,
Saw what was
right.
really going on.
And then even with the fact that they're and this is what I'm telling people, if our vote does not count, why I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Duma, I knew when they gutted the voting rights section 5 of the vote, I knew it was gonna be a mess. I knew that some things were gonna take place to try to take us back from square one where we have to be canned jelly beans in a jar.
Right.
They were trying to take us back to
Those kind of practices, really.
right where you can't people could stand in long lines. You couldn't even give out water. You're being could be arrested for giving out water, and you're not. I can remember here last year one of our volunteers that they here at Macon State College, they called the police on her,
Right.
and because she had on an NAACP t-shirt, but all these other organizations were standing. I'm seeing Patrick Davis put put some information up here about the article on the redistricting from Alabama voting rights. Thank you,
Right.
Patrick Davis. And I'm seeing Desmond Brown has responded. But also thank you all for listening. But this this uh this is so serious. This is so serious, and like I said, I'm glad Mr. Brown is on here because they really owe him an apology, and then they went back, and I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. They went back and even passed some type of bill of have an oversight for the water authority and then now they come up with for oversight for the district attorney from the way it's looking, which is not. I'm confused because now they're basically saying the federal judge basically saying they don't see where they have any input and have as an oversight for the district attorney. It shouldn't have been one for the water authority. These people voted in.
Right. The
They're
people
voted
have
in by the
spoken.
people.
Right. And then you have a small group, a committee.
Now the judges, they have an oversight. You have the judicial disqualification for judges, but a lot of times the judges are not voted in the beginning. They're normally appointed first.
Right.
And then if their term comes and nobody, they're able to run for office. But that shouldn't have happened with the water authority. But I'm telling you, this redistricting, they owe Desmond Brown an apology, I feel, because I have the documents and I know what the document said. And so y'all having private meetings, you having meetings excluding
The chairman.
the chairman. I'm sitting in the meeting and he's saying, I've never seen this before. What? I'm saying, this is crazy.
Right.
And so, I had signed up to speak because I'm sitting here listening to it and he the chair and he don't know. Well, it's not making sense.
Right. Who had the authority to first call the meeting?
Right. They
Yeah.
even redrew the maps.
Wow. Not only did they have a meeting, they had a work session.
Right. And so, but like I said, this thing with the voting, I knew when they came back in and they gutted out Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, I knew we were headed for trouble.
Right.
You know, which the NAACP did pass out, did win the lawsuit partially for that. We have to be 150 feet, and those are some concerns that we got. I rode by the Board of Elections on yesterday, which is at the mall, and I'm not seeing a sign about voting. And that's one of the things when we did a walkthrough, Commissioner Lucas and I and some other people, we expressed those concerns that um,
There are no signs there.
it needs to be a sign on the road says Board of Elections here. It needs to be one. Now it says about the courts, but I
Mhm.
don't see a big sign about the Board of Elections. And I'm going to actually go through again to look at that to make sure, because those were some of the other concerns because of where the Board of Election is. Um,
It's going to be difficult.
It was a long walk for me,
Right.
because I have a handicapped cab, and I got tired um, uh, walking that distance. So they were saying they were going to probably have somebody to be able to take you there, or have some places where you can actually sit and rest, whatever. But something, I would hope, I was thinking that they would put the courts in the back and put the Board of Elections in the front.
Wow.
But we looked at some other options as to use another door rather than coming in that front door, not the front, but the, in the back of that particular door because of the distance. And that's something that we gotta, we gotta look at. But yeah, it's a lot of things that are it's gonna get crazier.
Yeah, because when you look at a constitution given the right, you got a right to vote, and there's so many variables that are put in place to make it difficult to do something that most people should have access. All people should have
But
access to.
but I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that him saying Patrick Davis put something else up here. He put some websites up here.
Supreme Court.
Yeah. The Atlantic
Section
.com.
2.
Yeah. And about the article on the Alabama voting rights, the Voting Right Act, Supreme Court Section 2. But I'm just still trying to wrap my head around why white men had the right to vote. Even white women didn't have the right to vote until later.
Right.
But black people just never, we had to fight for the right to vote just like white women did.
Right.
So and then we had to, fight in court every 20 years. We got to renew our voting rights. I'm saying if we are able to vote, why are we having to continuously have to renew our right to vote to prove that we should be voting?
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand this 14th Amendment. That 14th Amendment was actually put in place for people, for us, because they said that we were less than humans.
Absolutely.
And so, but this is so serious, people. And I got to make sure I got to reach out to Sheriff Davis too, to make sure that we get these people that are incarcerated registered to vote. I know Maria's on the line. If Maria, if you can tell us when is the last day, if you're still on the line, and tell us when is the last day to be able to register to vote, to be able to vote in this upcoming election. If she's still listening, maybe she's put it up there. But I was seeing something on the news about the upcoming election. Get prepared. We don't know what type of what's going to take place as far as with the election, as far as violence or anything. I'm just
Right.
hoping that people just the people spoke last time. Uh, what happened was they had a plan that strategized.
Yeah.
Most people, uh, they were telling then the Republicans to stay home and vote on election day, and a lot of Democrats went to the polls early. They did absentee ballots, and that's what happened.
Yeah, the
Because I
results
because I,
were
I I've
tremendous.
always voted in person. I did an absentee ballot. Um,
I
hey,
see.
Pastor Watson, especially the white males are still raised with the mindset. Yes, they are, Pastor Watson. Thank you for tuning in. But it's if we don't see what's going on, uh,
Then respond.
okay, hello, Doctor. It's February 12th to register for the March 12th. Thank you, Doctor Miss Ridley. But we want people to be able to register to vote, to be able to vote in the March 12th election. We got to make sure that people that are incarcerated, um, if you are not, if you're on probation, here's Patrick Davis, statewide election dates March 12th, presidential preference primary May 21st, 2024, primary June 18th, 2024, and the primary runoff November the 5th, general election December 3rd, 2024, general runoff. So he's given us some dates up here um, for the upcoming election. Um, just imagine if we are the majority.
Right.
And I'm not being racial or anything. I'm just saying that we are the majority, and we like I say, voting is one of our tools. If we could just get people to, yes, Pastor Watson, black voters really matter in the U.S. and and our vote is so powerful. If we could get people to vote like they're supposed to, we can basically make demands that what needs to be done.
Exactly.
We
That's
can
that
put people.
power.
We can have people in office of our choice.
Exactly.
We just got to get out and vote. I'm seeing that it's 4:28. Our time is almost up, but like I said, we just have to stay focused.
Absolutely.
Make sure we get these people incarcerated. If you're not on probation, you've done all your time, paid all your fines, you are able to restore your voting rights. If you need an application to vote, just you can contact our office at 478-745-9944. And we'll be glad to get you registered to vote. We're going to make sure that we get the people in jail registered to vote. Make sure we get into our schools to get our kids that are 17 and a half years old, get them registered to vote. And so I remember registered in school when I was in school. That's where I registered to vote. Um, if you're, even if you're incarcerated, when I go into jails, I'm going to talk about that too, if I can go this week. But um, if you're basically in jail, and even if you got a felony pending and you haven't been convicted, you still can register to vote and vote.
Right.
Pastor Watson says we need to vote in every election, every time, and that's so true. People, our local and state election is election that you really need to be focusing on. Make sure you focus on the presidential election, but
But the
a
local
lot of the
affects you.
federal laws protect you statewide, nationwide, but your state and local elections affect your state only,
Right.
your city or county that you live in only.
I see Carol Spain says it's no different than when Jack Ellis was mayor. They tied his hands. They accused him of so much nothing could stick. Look at Clifford Whitby and what they did to him and so many black men. So the importance of voting is still relevant. We got to do it. And so until next time, we got to close out. Make sure you make that meeting tonight at 6 at the Lane Lucas Senior Citizen
Yes,
Center.
all politics are local. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for tuning in. You all have the rest of your evening and have a safe travel if you're traveling.
See you next week.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.